Good noon everyone, welcome back to your beloved atomic chess speedrun, the utmost famous chess variant that is even more aggressive than a cat being hungry. And without any further ado, let's get into today's content. First game, we get a pretty experienced 1600 rated opponent. This will not be such an easy game. Knight f3. Knight f3 threatens two ways of advancing the knight, and both of them are very lethal to my position. f6 is kinda forced. Knight d4. Very aggressive. That also double threats knight f5 and knight b5, and the only way to defend them both is knight h6. Knight h6 is directly controlling the f5 square, and in case he wants to go knight b5 right now, there is knight g4 counter-attacking his king, which is physically undefendable. And he chooses knight b5 regardless. Knight g4. Threatening knight takes f2, exploding his king. f3. Knight f2. And his queen is trapped. Kaboom! Honestly, I expected more from a 1600. Maybe this guy has been winning like this until now and doesn't know that he has been blundering a lot. Second game, let's go. Aha! Second game, we get an opponent that is even higher rated than me. Prepare for a literal bloodbath. d4. Knight f6. Bishop g5. My bishop is actually pinning his knight, because if he moves his king explodes. d5. He hasn't opened up his dark bishop yet. Knight c3 won't get pinned. Threatening knight b5 like the guy from the last game. He defends it. e4. e5. Very confusing. Okay, he is baiting me to take his e-pawn, which explodes his knight, but after f6 bishop back, he can then push his d-pawn forward. And for real, I think he can actually push that pawn all the way down to promotion, and there is nothing I can do to stop that pawn without losing materials. Therefore I'm not gonna fall for it. E takes d5. On second thought, this capture also seems like a terrible choice. But at least it is not that obvious. e4. Very aggressive. Bishop c4. Threatening bishop f7, exploding the king. Bishop e6. Okay, now either of my bishop can explode both of these pieces, but since I feel like my light square bishop should be more useful against his king, bishop takes f6. Reopen up the light square bishop to f7. He avoids the explosion. Queen g4. No need to rush, I'm pretty sure he actually has a way to save this. We cannot win this game quickly. Need to set up a good position for the most positive endgame possible. f5. Bishop f7 check. King d7. Queen f4. Queen h4. Aha! His queen is threatening to immediately explode my king, which means I cannot continue to attack his king anymore and have to defend my king first. Very unfortunate. Castle. Queen trade is unavoidable, but at least I can buy myself more tempos. Queen g4 instead. Ha! So instead of taking my queen, he wants me to capture his queen so that he can get a free move, but since queen takes f5 also explodes his queen, that just blunders a pawn. Never mind. Second game is another great victory. And after this game I also got a few free wins. I'm not going to waste your time with them. Until I met this guy. A 1400 rated opponent, even lower than the starting point. But don't underestimate him, this guy is much stronger than the two guys before him. e3. Knight f6. Bishop c4. He's threatening bishop takes f7, d5. e3 is such a slow move and makes his position very defensive. Now unless he makes a critical blunder, this game is going to be very long. Bishop d3. That defends knight e4, knight g4. He has to sacrifice his queen. Never mind. Knight f2. Queen e2 is kinda forced. His queen dies regardless. b3. e5, mouse slipped. Bishop a3. A bishop trade is good, but I don't want to make the catcher. Bishop b4 instead. Bishop takes b4. Knight a6. d4. You know what? I'll simplify. g3. Kaboom. Knight c3. Knight b4. Now knight b5 isn't as dangerous anymore. e4. I'll explode his rook. He takes d5. b5. Knight e4. He probably wants knight c5 restricting my bishop's activity. e5. Knight c5. I'll explode the horsey. Knight g5. f5. This guy only has a single horsey, but it is making me very uncomfortable. d5. f4. g4. Finally. Alright, now the rest of the game is just about converting this dominating material advantage. I will show you the fastened version instead. Atomic chess speed run today. 100% win rate.